Hej, välkomna tillbaka! Idag ska vi prata om reflexiva possessiva pronomen i svenska. Det är faktiskt lite svårt. Today we're going to explore reflexive possessive pronoun in Swedish. It is actually a little bit difficult. Så, nu kör vi. Now let's start. Så, vad är reflexiva possessiva pronomen? What is reflexive possessive pronoun? Här kommer några förklaringar. Here we have some explanations. Först och främst finns det inte i engelska. It doesn't exist in English. It is really important, so please bear this in mind. It doesn't exist in English. Number two. Om man måste översätta blir det his, her, their own, men det är inte samma sak. If you really want to translate it into English, it would be something like his, her, or their own in English, but they are not the same. We will explain it later. Så, vi måste använda reflexiva possessiva pronomen i objektplats och adverbial i svenska. We must use reflexive possessive pronoun in the place of object and in adverbial in Swedish. Vi använder inte dem i subjektplats, and they are not used in the place of subject. So here are some explanations. You maybe still feel a little bit confused, but no worries. We will continue studying this grammar. Nu fortsätter vi. Now we continue. So in order to illustrate the difference between this grammar in English and in Swedish, I found a good example. So let's explore how would we describe this picture in English. In English we would say he is talking to his girlfriend, right? He is talking to his girlfriend. And when we look at this picture, we know who is talking to who. So now we are saying David is talking to Anna. So he is talking to his girlfriend. But now we have a problem. What if there are three persons? Now we have David, Anna, and Peter. Now this sentence seems to be a little bit ambiguous, right? He is talking to his girlfriend. Now, it can be interpreted in two ways. The first way is David is talking to his own girlfriend, Anna, or David is talking to Peter's girlfriend, Anna. He is talking to his girlfriend, Anna. So in English, it can be confusing, and in order to solve this problem, maybe in English, you would emphasize he is talking to his own girlfriend, or maybe it's in a context everybody knows who are a couple. But in Swedish, you wouldn't have this problem because we have the reflexive possessive pronoun. Så hur ska vi säga det på svenska? Så på svenska, in Swedish, på svenska, du kommer att använda reflexiva possessiva pronomen. Här har vi sin, sitt, sina. So sin, sitt, sina is the reflexive possessive pronoun. But don't forget, sin, sitt, sina are the pronouns you should use for the third person, singular and plural. But for the first and second person, singular or plural, you would use the same as the possessive pronoun. You would use min, mitt, mina, din, ditt, dina, but it's still considered reflexive in those contexts. So with the same picture, in Swedish, we would say han pratar med sin flickvän. Han pratar med sin flickvän. So if you say he is talking to sin flickvän, it means it's his own girlfriend. Men du säger han pratar med hans flickvän. He talks to his girlfriend. In English it makes sense, but in Swedish if you say this, you are indicating always he is talking to someone else's girlfriend. So please be careful. Han pratar med hans flickvän. It means there are two persons if you don't use sing. So let's get it straight. In English, we don't have this reflexive possessive pronoun, and in Swedish we have them, which means in Swedish, to have it is the normal state. It is normal to have them, so we have to use it, we must use it to mark the relation and the ownership of the object to the subject. So it means that in Swedish, you always need to be clear about the relationships between the object and subject by using this set of possessive reflexive pronoun. Men vi använder inte possessiva reflexiva pronomen i subjektplats. But we don't use these sets of pronouns in the place of subjects. For example, han och hans flickvän pratar med varandra. Han och hans flickvän pratar med varandra. He and his girlfriend talks to each other. In Swedish, it makes sense. Actually, it means his own girlfriend because it's in a subject. You shouldn't use the reflexive possessive pronoun. Hans kompis väntar på dem. His friend is waiting for them. Så, jag hoppas att du inte är så förvirrad just nu. I hope you are not so confused right now. We will need to do more exercise on it. Now let's repeat those explanations for reflexive possessive pronoun. Nu ska vi repetera. Så reflexiva possessiva pronomen finns inte i engelska. Om man måste översätta blir det his, her, their own, men det är inte samma sak. Vi måste använda reflexiva possessiva pronomen i objektplats och adverbial. Vi använder inte dem i subjektplats. Okay, I've said previously, I will explain what does it mean, what do I mean by it doesn't exist in English. So actually in Swedish, if you want to emphasize the ownership, we have a word for it. So in Swedish, his, her, your, my, their own, my own computer, for example, you have a word for it. We would say min, mitt, mina, hans, hennes, egen, eget, egna. So own in Swedish is actually egen, eget, egna. But do notice that this own is not the verb own. It is the his own, her own, something. It is only in this structure. So otherwise, to own something in Swedish is att äga, to own, but it is not this word. My own thing, min egen, blah, blah, blah. So we have this to emphasize, but still there is a set of pronouns to mark the relationship. So we have to use them when they are needed. Okay, so maybe you sensed the difference would be when using those pronouns, they are not actually emphasizing in Swedish. They're just a special kind of pronoun to mark the relationship. But when you want to emphasize the ownership, you use egen, eget, egna. So sin, sitt, sina in Swedish is not to emphasize, but a requirement to mark the ownership or the relation of the object to the subject. Så Nu ska vi jämföra några exempel. Now let's compare some examples so that we are very clear about this grammar. So we've just said that the sitt, sina is to mark the relation of the object to the subject, which means subject is also important in this grammar. We need to observe what the subject is always. Nu läser vi första meningen. Du kan läsa hennes böcker. You can read her book. You notice here we wouldn't use sitt, sina because her book, you can read her book. The subject is a different person. So there is no relation between you and her. You don't own her book. It's her book. So you don't use sitt, sina. Andra meningen, the second sentence. Det är en bra idé att läsa hennes böcker. It is a good idea to read her books. Once again, the subject is it, and the subject has no relation with her book. In this case, you wouldn't use sitt, sina, the reflexive pronoun. But now let's read the third sentence. Den tredje meningen. Hon håller sina böcker. She holds, in English you would say, she holds her books. But in Swedish you have to use sina because it's her own books and it's in the place of the object. So hon håller sina böcker. She is holding her own book, if you have to translate into English. Okej, nu är det dags för en test. Now it's time for a test. Beskriva bilden. Kan du beskriva bilden? Can you describe this picture? Med verbet kamma. With the verb to comb. Kamma. Så hon kammar hennes hår. Hon kammar hennes hår. There are two persons, so you don't need to use sitt, sina. Okay, it means she is combing her hair. They are two different persons. Nästa. Beskriva bilden. Kan du beskriva den här bilden? Can you describe this picture? Med kamma. Yes, ja. Hon kammar sitt hår. Hon kammar sitt hår. In English, it would be the same. She is combing her hair. So you see the problem? In Swedish, we have this set of pronoun to describe specifically about the ownership. So, hon kammar hennes hår. It indicates two different persons. Hon kammar sitt hår. It indicates it's the same person. It's her own hair. She is combing her hair. In English. In English, it doesn't make any differences. Okay. Nu ska du översätta. Now to translate. Hur ska du översätta? How to translate. Now I am using my own mobile phone, not my job phones. Now I'm using my own mobile phone, not my job phones. Nu använder jag min egen mobiltelefon. Nu använder jag min egen mobiltelefon, inte mina jobbtelefoner. Here we would use min egen because it is actually to emphasize. Do you remember? Sitt, sina doesn't exist in English. And therefore, here it is to emphasize. And by emphasizing in Swedish, it is min egen. Okej, det är allt för idag. Jag hoppas att du har förstått mer om possessiva reflexiva pronomen